down and listen to records. Smell the cover, read all the verses. Tell me about your favorites on Vinyl and Vision.
Hello, thank you for tuning into the latest episode of Vinyl and Vision. In this video, you're going to find a short video clip of my guest tonight, William Russell Wallace, playing live at the Parlor in Providence. We did this interview before that show. Billy is a touring musician. I met him many years ago back in Virginia when I was out on tour with my old band, and we've been friends ever since. He's now currently living in Southern California, so it was a really rare opportunity to get him here in my studio in Rhode Island. So we did a pretty lengthy talk. We discussed Tom Petty and the Heartbreakers. It turns out Billy is a huge Tom Petty fan. So we talked about that. You'll hear that in the interview. But this is a great copy. This is actually from 1979. This is an original release from 79, Gloversville pressing plant issue. I get into that in the interview. You'll hear that later. It's a great copy. Sounds great. Looks great. That's that. Billy, this is his record. I bought this from him because he is on tour. I encourage you all to do the same, please. He's asking $12 for these, and they're actually awesome white vinyl. We discussed this in the interview as well, but it looks great. Sounds great, actually, too. I've only been able to listen to it since Billy has left, but it's a great record. The songs are actually really good. I didn't listen to this record because I didn't think to look for the record online, but it's there too. It's on all the platforms. It's on Spotify and Bandcamp and all those things, so you can actually go ahead and listen to this whole record yourself. And then if you are so inclined, catch him on his last few dates of his tour. By the time this goes up later today, he'll only have, I think, 3 shows left. He's ending in Roanoke, Virginia. So catch him, please. Go to his website. You can order this record. You can also order it through Bandcamp, I think, or at least you can do the digital download thing if that's what you prefer. It's a solid record. After getting a chance to listen to it in its entirety, it's just a good record. He's on tour as a solo musician right now. He's on tour alone, and so it's a different feel. Obviously, this record actually captures some of his full band performance style, which is kind of almost a pop punk, pop rockish. It's definitely got a full band sound to it. It definitely has moments where it really rocks out, and then has moments of him obviously doing more stripped down, quiet folk type music. So yeah, do that. I'll put all the links up for his website and tour dates. Tom Petty's Damn the Torpedoes link will be up as well. And this is the first time I've actually cut this video down. It's still a little long, still a little over an hour, but I've tried to incorporate more content of Billy's, and because I can't play Tom Petty's music, I basically cut out that entire section of our interview. So we lost about an hour's worth of our interview. So I encourage you guys to follow links on the homepage to my audio streams. Okay, it's also the full length audio is going to be there on the all of them. Everything minus iHeartRadio because they suck and they won't pick up my my podcast. So without further ado, here's Billy. Enjoy.
Stop feeling funny in our hands, in our insides, and in our words. We can't live on nothing but love. Or maybe we can't keep on living on nothing but love. Well, baby girl, I don't want to see you crying, though I need to see you tonight. Get as high as I can. I need to feel alright. I need to fall asleep to the sound of your song.
Cheers, Billy.
Yes, sir.
Thank you for coming.
Thanks for having me.
Do you mind that I call you Billy?
Yeah, that's This is my professional name now.
Yes.
Yeah, but
It's
we're
your-
old
it's your birth
friends.
name, so.
Yeah.
How many releases have you done as a solo artist?
I did 2. I did one in 2009 and one in 2012. But the one in 2012, like, after it came out, like, I was kind of burnt out from being on the road, and I did like one big tour on it, and it didn't get very good reviews. Like, I actually really like that record. It's one of the few records I've made that I like will still listen to and be like, I dig these songs. But like, it just didn't get very good reviews. I was with Bear Trap PR at the time, and they were those guys went on to form Tiny Engines. Do you know that label? They're a really good, like, kind of indie rock, kind of post-punk label. But like, I think like that PR company, they were just so in the punk rock scene that like that record, like the places they sent it to, it just wasn't their wheelhouse. That's what I tell myself, because I think it's a good record, but it didn't like do very well. Whereas my first solo record got like really good reviews, and I think that record sounds like garbage. I like the tunes on it, but like it's just like very like lo-fi, very like thrown together. I feel like people like aren't allowed to write bad reviews anymore.
Yeah.
Like, unless it's like a big band. Like if Springsteen puts out a record and somebody wants to shit on it or something. Am I allowed to curse in this podcast?
Oh, yeah.
Okay. But like, because like the new record's gotten really, really good press from everything. It hasn't, but I'm like, somebody didn't like it. They just didn't write about it. You know,
That's a win-win.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the beauty of like the art of writing.
Yeah.
So what was your writing background?
Well, I like when I quit touring, I was in Cincinnati, and I was just real burnt out. And like part of it was like, I don't know, like I think being so drunk all the time on the road was bad for me. Like, it was just an excuse to party at a certain point, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Like I remember at a certain point, because like when we were on the road back in the day, like, you know, when I had the band with me, it's one thing. When you're by yourself, it gets very lonesome in like a very weird way, where like I remember once our buddy James Timmy, I had played like 5 shows in a row in like northern Ohio, but I had played like 5 shows in a row where I had never played before, and I didn't know anybody in the towns, and it was cool because like the shows were decent, but like I didn't have any friends there. And I remember I played in Boston, and Timmy drove down from Providence, and I like saw him, and I was just like, I like gave him a big hug. I was like, I haven't seen anybody I know in a week. It's like, how often do you go in your life where you go a whole week without seeing anyone you know? And so like just being on the road by myself like really kind of wore me out. And then like it got to the point where like I didn't look forward to playing the shows because I wanted to hang out with my friends, you know, like, and then it was like the shows were work, and it was like, I don't know, I was just approaching it a bad way, and it became like the performances weren't good, and I got really burned out. So I was living in Cincinnati, and I just signed up for like a fiction workshop at Cincinnati State, and I'd never written any fiction in my life. But like the teacher was awesome. His name's Jeff Wolf. He's become one of my dearest friends now. And he really liked the stuff I was doing, and he encouraged me to apply to MFA programs for creative writing. And so I did, and I got into the program at Montana, and I went there in 2014, and I got my MFA in fiction, and had some stuff published, and wrote a book, and got an agent, and then broke up with that agent, and now it's just kind of all in limbo. But yeah, like, so I was the editor-in-chief for the literary magazine there, so like writing is a big part of it for me, and I think it made me a much better songwriter too. It made me like really view things with like a kind of critical eye that I didn't use before.
Yeah. So what was your musical background like? Like, where did you start with music?
I was like the singer in like a shitty pop punk band in high school.
This was your first band?
Yeah, I was like 17. We were really bad.
As most teenagers
yeah,
are
yeah.
with their first punk band.
Yeah. And then from that, like our bass player quit, and so I was like, well, I'll be the bass player, because why not? And I just kind of started teaching myself how to play bass, and that was how I picked up instruments. And like every instrument I play was kind of the same way, where I'm like I'll try to figure that out. That's why I'm not very good at any instruments, because I've never, like, I don't know any theory. I can't read music.
You never got any lessons.
Yeah, and like people will be like, "What's that chord you're playing?" And I'm like, "I don't know, the one that sounds like this."
Okay,
And like it's funny. Like I find myself wishing, like, man, I wish I would have just done like the bar band thing when I was like 21. Like I think that would have like really helped. But you know, it's like that, the Faces song, the "Wish that I knew what I know now when I was younger."
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, hey, it's part of growing up and part of learning. So, I mean, it's no surprise that your songwriting has grown and developed, and you know, even in your own opinion, gotten better. Because that's what you do when you when you're a craft person. You know, you work on your craft and you get better at it the more you practice it.
Yeah.
So, and just to what you were saying about, you know, being in the bar band type thing, and how, you know, there's a bunch of famous people that have started in that from doing that. It makes sense actually, because not only do you get the experience of learning these songs, learning how these other master crafters have put together their work, and you practice it and kind of develop like some new skills of your own, because you have to try to figure out how to do that. But they also probably had a very good ability to get in front of people.
Yeah.
And develop their personality on stage, because that's also a big factor in, like, you know, how you draw people, how you react with people, like as far as an audience is concerned. So yeah, there's a number of good reasons, I guess, to do that. But you know, I also didn't really think about that when I was young.
Yeah, I mean, like I used to shit all over the people that did that, you know, like play your own songs, man. It's like, well, honestly, like this other song's probably better, depending, you know.
So I wanted to ask you about, like, where, so you said you started on bass primarily?
Yeah.
Like when you were 17, is that like the first time you picked up an instrument?
Yeah,
really?
Yeah. That was bass. I'm still most comfortable on bass to this day. I'm not like terribly good at it. I'm good at like locking in a groove if there's a drummer, you know. But you know, like I feel like, I mean, you're a very good bass player. Did you start out doing jazz?
No, okay. I don't know anything about jazz.
Yeah, I feel like a lot of bass players have like a jazz background.
I had a Latin music background.
Oh, okay, cool.
A little bit.
And they kind of borrow, like, that's kind of the same world in some ways.
I guess so, yeah.
That's cool.
There's definitely a lot of scale work in Latin music. Yeah.
But yeah, like, so I have, you know, like, and the biggest band I ever played in when I was playing bass with Tim Barry from Avail, when he was doing his solos, when he first started doing his solo stuff, and The Waiting Girl was his backing band for a little bit.
Oh, cool.
And I was playing bass for that. And I'm still, like, much more comfortable on that than guitar. I still feel like I'm kind of a hack on the guitar. Really, I'm a singer. Like, that's what I, you know, like, if people ask what I do in a band, I say I'm the singer. Like, sometimes I'll have something to accompany myself. But but like, you know, like I write most of my songs on the piano. I'm not very good at the piano, but I love playing it.
That's strange.
I don't really know how to play it, but I figure out, I'm like, okay, on a guitar, it's, you know, a G, a C, and a, yeah, and then, like, I'll just like hammer it out. And I'm like, oh, okay, three notes make a chord. And I do that. I learned how to do like that little slide on the minor third to get that honky tonk kind of trill in there. And now I can like play like songs. People are like, oh, you know how to play piano? And I'm like, sure, I do. Okay.
Yeah.
Like, just good enough so that people who don't know how to play piano think I know how to play piano.
Right.
That's where I'm at with that. But that's probably my favorite instrument. But
you just haven't mastered it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, what was your musical experience like growing up? Like, what were you listening to like as a kid, and what did that develop into?
Like, my parents they're pretty varied in their taste. Like, my mom's favorite is Bruce Springsteen. You know, my father liked a lot of like old like 60s rock and roll, but they also like listened to a lot of like contemporary country when I was growing up. So like, you know, like the first CD I ever bought was Garth Brooks' No Fences, you know. I stand by that record, by the way. It's a good record.
Okay.
So like, you know, and my family's from the South, so there was always like a bit of a Southern influence, a lot of folk, you know, like they loved John Prine and stuff like that as well. So like that was always there. But when I was like, you know, 12 or 13, and like that first Weezer album came out, and like I think Dookie came out the same year, you know, like that was the stuff that like I got into. That was like the first like music that I discovered on my own.
Mm-hmm.
So, like I kind of grew up in that kind of punk, indie, 90s music scene, but I always kind of had that folk-based kind of old rock and roll back there. As I got older, like, my favorite music still to this day is still like the Motown sound from like soul music from the 60s and 70s.
Oh yeah.
And it's really fun going on tour now, like being older and like not doing it for a while, and like just seeing people. And there's this really weird thing. It's almost, I don't know how to describe it. I was trying to explain it to Kaylin in the car the other day. It's like a weird sense of like, it's almost melancholy, but it's also like very joyful and happy when like, like I see people that I haven't like even spoken to in so many years, but like for like a night or 2 nights or 3 nights, it was like we were as close as we could be. Like, like that's my best friend in the world. And that night, and then you like don't see them, and then like you come back together, and it's like me and you, we can just shoot the shit. Like, yeah. It's like it's like, oh man, like why haven't I been in touch with them? Like we should be like best friends. Like, but it's like, but look how good their life. Like it's this weird like sense of like I missed out on their life or something. But it's like I'm not really part of their life. But for a moment I was. Like it's this weird. I don't know. It's very like bittersweet. Like I'm just a sentimental asshole. Yeah, that's what it is. But. I don't know, like, and it's hit me really hard on this tour. I think it's because I'm sober now and I need something to focus on. Right. But also, like, all my friends, they're grown up. Like, you have beautiful children, you're married, like, thank you. And like, like, I went to, last night I stayed at Dave's house that he bought, and then I went to Tony's house that he bought, and now I'm at your house. Like, we all used to live in the same shitty houses, like, right. And it's just really cool to see all of that. And I don't know, it's just this really weird thing of like, I don't know, it's probably bad radio, me trying to work out my thoughts.
No, man, it's all right.
Live.
Well, what's funny is that I forgot about that, because, the tour mentality is different than your everyday, stagnant mentality. Mm-hmm. Because, so we have been here in Rhode Island, let's just say, using Tony and Dave as examples, mm-hmm. that, and like kind of we anchored ourselves. We got our roots into the ground, and that's it. Mm-hmm. Whereas the touring musician lifestyle, I now that you mention it, it's like I remember. Oh yeah, I remember. Yeah. Like how we could go through tour and swing through places for a night or 2 nights, and develop these relationships with people that were great and that we loved. And then we would leave, and then come back a year or 2 years later or whenever, and you just kind of pick up from where you left off. Yeah. But the interesting part was that at that time we were younger people. Yeah. We were young, stupid, young, dumb, and full of cum, how they say. Yeah. And that's what we were doing. We were like, we all had the mindset that like this is what we want to do for the rest of our lives. Right. And we were going for it. Yeah. And I dropped off earlier. Mm-hmm. Anthony's still kind of doing it a little bit, and yeah, it's just the life choice. You're not missing anything. Right. Because you actually still have those abilities to travel across the country, playing shows, putting your music out there, your art form, mm-hmm. and still touching base with those people, because you can't be everywhere. Right. Yeah. and you happen to know all these people all across the country. Yeah. And that's great to have. It's great to have those relationships. Yeah. And it's just like if you were living in those states, let's just say, or in those cities that these people, mm-hmm. you probably wouldn't be happier being there all the time. Yeah, and I probably wouldn't see them for months at a time anyway. Yeah. Like I don't see anybody. Yeah, exactly. Like we're too old to like go out and hang out all the time now. Yeah, right? But it's not like you would anyway. Right. Yeah. It's just like it's nice to see them when you do see them. Yeah. Well, it's like I was saying to you over breakfast, like like I saw Anthony, who I hadn't seen in like years, and we're just immediately just busting each other's balls, but in the most loving way, Oh, yeah. Like, and like that's true friendship right there when you're just like immediately comfortable, mm-hmm. and like, I mean, I said it was like melancholy, and it is, but at the same time, like it makes me feel so lucky, like that I've met all of these people that like I can have a genuine connection with, like, and go to like pretty much any town on the East Coast, and like I've got like somebody there that will cook me breakfast and let me do laundry and stuff. Like how cool is that? Oh yeah.
yeah, it's pretty wild, and it's nice to like have the perspective now to like be able to appreciate that for what it is, you know, because I think when I was younger, I didn't appreciate that.
So let me get into a little bit of your Tom Petty experience.
Oh, yeah,
when
let's
did you
do it.
first get introduced to Tom Petty?
I mean, I think I probably, because like he wasn't one of the ones that like my parents were like really into, you know. So I think like my earliest memory of it would be like probably like that video for You Don't Know How It Feels. The one where like the camera was like rotating around him.
Yeah.
And they like, for some reason, they reversed the word joint. It was like edited
yeah.
out. It was like, let's get to the point. Let's roll another
Yeah.
And like, you know, I really dug that, and I remember like getting his greatest hits CD when I was pretty young, which like side A of Damn the Torpedoes, which we're going to talk about,
That's
is like
mostly what it was.
is like just greatest hits, right?
Yeah.
But like I didn't really get like super deep into his catalog until I was older, and that was when I like really fell in love with it. And then like when I started, like when I went to the MFA program in Montana, there was like a bunch of people in there who were really good musicians, and we were just trying to think of something fun to do. And I didn't want to like start a new band and recycle the same songs that I had been playing, but I also wasn't writing any songs, and you know, like a lot of good players, but like everybody was working on their writing for the program. Nobody was really writing any music, so we're like, well, what's something fun we can do? And so we all loved Tom Petty, so we decided we were going to start a Tom Petty cover band, and we called ourselves Petty Bullshit. And we played like some gigs around town, and we mostly just did like the greatest hits. But like through that, I started digging deeper into some of the albums I didn't know so well, and like I became like obsessed, which is kind of weird for like being that old and like becoming like such a fanboy of somebody. Like he and all the guys in the band are such students of rock and roll. Like I have a Sirius XM satellite radio in the car when I'm driving, and there's a Tom Petty station, but it's not just like Tom Petty songs. Like he had his own radio show on there, and he recorded like 500 episodes, so they'll just like replay it even though he's passed now.
Oh, wow.
And the stuff he plays is like he is a student. Like he loves old blues, he loves old R&B, he loves like old rock and roll, and he'll like talk about like what he loves about the songs and stuff. And like Ben Montench, the keyboard player, like he has his own show on there, and like you see like all his influences and just how much they love the music and like just how much it meant to them. And then like when you like hear their songs, like knowing like these influences and like what they're bringing to the table, it's a really cool angle.
Yeah.
And like earlier when we were talking about like letting a song breathe a little bit, I don't think that any rock band has ever understood that more than Tom Petty and the Heartbreakers. But yeah, man, like I love them. I think they're the greatest American rock and roll band of all time. Yeah, I mean, just look how cool he is. Look at that cover.
Yeah, I know, and I've had my kind of little. I go back and forth with that a lot because I do really like Tom Petty, and I definitely learned to appreciate him a lot more as I started getting older. Because growing up with him, because it was just that I literally kind of grew up knowing his music.
Right.
Just hear it on the radio all the time.
Yeah, he's one of those artists like you can be like, I don't really like Tom Petty, and then all of a sudden you're like, oh, I know like 15 of his songs,
Yeah,
and they're
I
good.
like them, yeah.
And like you just didn't realize it. It's very ubiquitous. It's just part of the American rock and roll culture.
Right, and then you start diving into his whole catalog and stuff like that, and you realize how like influential and how integral he was
Yeah.
to the fabric of radio,
Yeah.
which was the influence on our childhoods, really. I mean, like, when I grew up, I was born in '80, so ever since I heard the radio, I mean, I was hearing Tom Petty. I was hearing American Girl and Refugee, and
Yeah, this record came out what, 79?
this came out in '79.
Yeah. So like
October 19th to be exact.
So you grew up just hearing all of these songs because there's like 5 radio
Right.
hits off of this record.
Right, plus the few hits that he had off his previous records.
Yeah.
Breakdown.
American Girl.
American Girl.
Then you had like I Need to Know off the second one.
Yep.
And Listen to Her Heart was on that one as well.
Yeah. And then going on further in his career, it's like it became even more involved in my life.
Yeah.
He did Rundown Dream, and Don't Come Around Here No More with that fucking famous like MTV video.
Yeah,
It was,
yeah.
Like, so
The
like,
Mad Hatter one, yeah.
Yeah, it was so like interesting to a little kid.
Yeah.
You know, to see that, I was just like, what is this? And
Yeah.
It's so weird and psychedelic. But thank you for bringing me this.
Oh yeah, of course.
I was really excited to get this, and you know, I'm obviously gonna buy this off you. You're not gonna gift this to me because you're on tour, and
Well, I mean, I won't say no.
well, for people that don't realize about when people go on tour, I mean, it's difficult.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, even if you're just by yourself, I mean, I can, you know, with a band sometimes it becomes more difficult because
You gotta split the money, yeah.
You gotta split the money. You gotta, you know, the money goes towards the gas for the van, the putting you up in a hotel room if you're going to go that route, unless
Yeah.
you know someone is generous enough to open up their floors to you.
Right.
So you know, it's just one of those things, man. It's just like touring is not easy.
Right.
So you have this record, you have the vinyl, which when I saw that you released this, I was just like, I gotta get that. I definitely gotta get it because you got the white vinyl too.
Mm-hmm.
Man. So cool, man. Oh, you get a download code too?
Yeah, yeah.
Great, man. Awesome. Thank you. So I can kind of take this with me and listen to it around town when I'm driving around. So where did you get this pressed?
A to Z Media pressed it, and I'm really stoked with how it turned out. Like, you know, we were talking about it earlier, but I'll say it for this. Like when I recorded it, it wasn't with the intention of putting out a record. It was just like kind of demos of a bunch of songs that I wrote when I was in rehab, and I moved back to Cincinnati and got together with some old friends, and we were just messing around with it. And I had just bought a new Jazzmaster. I got that J Mascis Jazzmaster.
Oh yeah,
yeah, it's cool. I love it, dude. And so I was like kind of doing like some crunchier, kind of dirtier rock and roll stuff than what I usually do. And we just threw up some mics in the room and tracked a bunch of them, and then I had to move to California. I say I had to, but I love it there. My girlfriend, wonderful Kaylin Capper-Thomas, got a really good job out there, so I went out there with her, and I just kind of left the songs alone for like 5 or 6 months, didn't really listen to them. And then, you know, I was getting kind of bored in California, wanted to start playing some gigs, and so I was like, I'm going to check out those demos that we recorded. And when I listened to them, you know, they're very raw, just a couple takes at most.
Yeah.
But I really dug the way it sounded, and I was like, I don't want to recut these. I think they really capture where I was at the time.
Yeah.
And so, like, you know, it's not exactly lo-fi, but it's not like, you know, the best recording quality either. But I think it sounds like exactly what I wanted it to sound like.
It all looks unholy from the view that you found. The lovers leave you hollow, just digging holes in the ground. You ain't gonna find nothing. You got to lose in your bones from the shadows and down. Well, honey, find a way to twist and shout 'em out tonight. We'll make it feel alright. If we're gonna lose, we're gonna lose triumphant. If you got a phone, ship it next to me. If we're gonna lose, we're gonna lose triumphant.
Yeah, I think the band did a really good job. I think San Jacinto, which is my favorite song, I think it sounds like exactly what I wanted it to sound like on that record. So yeah, I'm pretty happy with it. It's 10 songs. Most of them I wrote when I was in rehab. 2 of them I recorded on my iPhone in rehab, so they sound a little echoey.
Uh-huh.
But it's good. It's what they need to be.
That's great, man. And so you did this yourself?
Yeah. This is the most DIY project I've ever done.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You were talking to me earlier about how you were kind of approaching the idea of bringing this to a label that you had worked with in the past. Which label was that?
Mind Over Matter Records. They're a really cool label. They do like mostly like kind of boutique like vinyl, like short runs, really cool.
Yeah.
Like variants, and like they do a lot of good work. They pressed my last record in 2012. I'm still good friends with Austin, the guy who runs it. He's a great dude. It's a cool label. Check him out. but he was just had a lot on his plate, and he was like, "Yeah, I'd love to work with you, but it's going to take a while to print it." And I was, I live on a little mountain town in California, and I was getting a little antsy, and I was like, I want to go on the road. I want to get some stuff done. And I was like, I'll just press it myself. I got a little bit of money saved up. Then I can keep all the profits myself,
Yeah.
So, and at this point, I think I'm getting close to selling enough to breaking even.
Good.
Yeah.
That's great. So, if you don't mind me asking, because I'm actually a little bit interested in the actual process of pressing vinyl and
Sure.
like that stuff, and I think a few people have kind of already asked me, so maybe it'll help them out too.
Mm-hmm.
So, what is like the cost of vinyl like right now as far as pressing is concerned?
Through A to Z Media, I did 300 copies of the white vinyl, and I just got the records from them.
You did the jacket separately?
Yeah, I did the jackets separately, and I ordered like those black sleeves because I liked the monochromatic of the white, black, white.
Yeah, it looks great.
But they just sent me the 300 in the white sleeves, and then I just assembled them all myself. And I think when all was said and done, like the records themselves, it was actually a pretty good deal. It was like maybe like $900 for the vinyl. So it was
For
like
300?
Yeah.
That's significant.
Yeah.
It's not the CDs for sure.
Right. Yeah. But I mean, like, you sell 100 copies and you're breaking even.
Yeah.
So, and like with like got the jackets and separately, I think like all told, I probably spent probably $1,200 on it.
Yeah.
But I sell them for $12 a pop, so I make it. It was worth it. And like I'm a big vinyl guy too, and I definitely wanted the record on there. I also did cassettes for this one.
Oh, cool.
Which have become popular again, weirdly enough. And that, like, those are pretty cheap to press too. I think that's why they might have become popular, because vinyl's gotten expensive and
right.
And
no
like
one wants to deal with CDs.
Yeah, and the thing with like pressing vinyl now too is like every press is like backed up because everybody's pressing vinyl.
Right.
Like it took probably like 4 months to get that back.
Right.
Because I ordered them before the West Coast tour, and they weren't ready until like, I ordered them in like late January, and I got them in like late May. So,
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah. I heard about that. Yeah, my last guest, Rick, was telling me about that, how, Record Store Day and stuff like that.
Yeah.
As great as it is, and you have all these, like, cool new pressings of limited edition, re-releases of whatever. But he's just like, there's all these bands, all these, like, artists that are trying to put out vinyl, and there's only so many pressing plants across the country.
Yeah.
And so it's just like a queue at each one of them.
Right. And like, like vinyl's become so popular, which is awesome, but like, like if Ariana Grande puts out a new single, she's like putting it out on vinyl now. Like you can find like these huge pop stars stuff on vinyl, and like the album's kind of dead in that world. Like they drop singles like whenever they have one done now.
Yeah.
So like, they're going to move to the front of the line at any vinyl pressing plant if they want to put that out. So yeah, like it's a supply and demand thing right now. I mean, it's great for the industry, and like I love that people are buying physical music again, and not just streaming it.
Yeah, it's great. Yeah, it's finally coming back. I mean, I have nothing against the digital download. I mean, it's convenient.
Yeah.
It's like very accessible.
Yeah, and I listen to Spotify every day, so I'm kind of hypocritical in that regard.
Yeah.
Like,
Well, it's a great resource for learning.
Yeah.
First and foremost, but as far as supporting bands, by all means, buy a record, especially from the artist, if you're on tour.
Yeah, for sure.
If not, if they have a label, go through the label, and then obviously, last scenario is if it's just in the store, if you can find it in the store, then do that. But will you ship these things too? If like someone bought these online?
Yeah, they're on the website, WilliamRussellWallace.com, and I will ship them. I actually have a few to catch up on because I've been getting some orders while on tour, and I haven't had a day off to go to the post office yet. So,
oh man.
So I have a few to ship out. So, but
okay.
If anybody listening wants to buy one, I will certainly ship them.
If you want to do some shipping here, I actually have boxes and all that stuff because I do that all day long.
All right, I need a couple boxes actually. That would be great.
Man, not a problem. You bring me a record, I give you shipping supplies.
Hell yeah!
You can reach out to your audience and get them the stuff that they're ordering from you.
That's awesome. I've had to send some apology emails the last couple of days. Like, sorry, I'll get it in the mail next week.
I hope they're understanding, right?
Yeah, they are.
Cool. That's good. So Damn the Torpedoes, as we said it before, October 19th, 1979 is when it was released. Absolutely amazing album. This has
like,
got so many good hits on it.
Is there a better side A in rock and roll history?
It's certainly up there. I mean, it's got, like, that's tough competition as far as, like, you know, almost perfect A-sides of a record.
Yeah.
Would you do the honors of
Sure.
looking at this?
Yeah,
Let me
yeah.
just tell you about this copy. This copy is actually, I literally just found it. When I approached you about doing this show, you actually initially said, can we do the She's the One soundtrack? Which I'm not familiar with, actually.
You should check it out, man. It's my favorite one.
Yeah,
It's
well, I
so
was trying
good,
to
yeah.
do some listening to it, but I ended up picking up like 80
Yeah.
records over the course of this weekend.
Is this a first pressing?
It's from '79.
Yeah, yeah.
It's not a first pressing though. This is actually a Gloversville pressing issue. So it was released in '79. So it is original to the year it was released. It's one of the 7 different variants from Gloversville pressing.
Cool.
But I guess they're pretty desirable too, the Gloversville pressings. I work primarily with a lot of vintage, you know, a lot of classic records. So it's actually something that I've noticed a lot is that Gloversville, along with Pickneyville, which was where the first pressings of that album came from, are very similar, and they were obviously very sought after, or at least as far as manufacturers were concerned, because there's a lot of classic rock records that were pressed at those plants. So, yeah, I know, isn't that a little tight?
Yeah,
It's a little
tight.
weird.
God, look how cool this dude is. Look
Yeah.
at that. He's the coolest. That's the most Florida picture I've ever seen in my life.
Yeah, he certainly was a Floridian. Gainesville, he was from Gainesville, Florida. Gainesville loved him, and he loved Gainesville.
They love him down there. They
Feel free to take that out of the
yeah.
record and all that, and look it over and tell me what you think of it.
yeah. Ooh, that's thick for '79, huh?
Yeah, it's a pretty heavy weight. I mean, I wouldn't say that it's 180 gram, but it's a good, thickness. It's got a good weight to it.
It's in great shape.
You know what? Actually, I forgot to mention this. So I picked up a bunch of records over this weekend, and I went to this one place. This guy was cleaning out his garage, and I found that record and Stevie Ray Vaughan. What's that record called? Couldn't Stand the Weather.
Yeah, yeah.
Let me take that record.
Sure.
Both of them were framed.
Oh, cool.
They were in those record frames, and I didn't know if the records were in them. But I was just like, yeah, I'll pick those up because I'm going to check to see if the records are in them, because the frame that this was in was broken.
Okay.
So I was like, yeah, I'll just take it home, whatever, and I'll check it out. I'll take a look to see if the record's even in there. And sure enough, the records were in those. So I was like, I'm not going to put these back in their frames.
Yeah, yeah. That's like perfect condition.
Yeah, it's very good. So I mean, and it should be it's to be expected with a framed record.
Right, yeah.
So I was just happy that the record was in there.
That's very
And it just
cool.
worked out perfectly because of you. We were going to do Hard Promises,
Yeah,
because
yeah.
I have a copy of that.
Which I also love that record. Yeah.
Well, obviously you love all of his records,
Yeah.
just about, right?
I think my 2 favorite songs of his are on Hard Promises.
Oh, really?
But it's also when I did a chronological listen a couple years ago, I was like, I'm gonna listen to every record front to back in a row. The first time I was like, I think I'm gonna skip this song, was on Hard Promises too.
Really?
Yeah. Not crazy about Night Watchman. Don't really like She's a Woman in Love. I don't know. Those ones just don't hit. But the song The Waiting, it's one of the great rock and roll songs of all time. And then the song Insider with him and Stevie Nicks. They're just doing that duet the whole time.
Oh, yeah.
That song murders me, man. Every time I listen to it, I'm just like, oh, it's so good.
Yeah, they had a great dynamic.
Yeah.
Because they did 2 songs on that record, right?
I think they did, there's the famous story with Stop Dragging My Heart Around.
Yeah.
Because that was a Petty song, but Jimmy Iovine talked him into giving it to Stevie Nicks for her solo record.
Right.
For
So it's on both records. Because that song is on Hard Promises.
Is it?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I thought it was just on hers.
I think it's weird how they split that up. They kind of split the rights and what? No wait. So because they did give it to her, because I remember that interview with Mike Campbell.
Yeah.
saying
they're still bitter that like it like beat the waiting in the charts.
Right,
Yeah,
right.
like they like never forgave Jimmy Iovine for that. Well, because Tom's like, well, it was my song and my band's on it. But like the thing is, like, can you imagine that song without Stevie Nicks? If it was just like a Tom Petty song, like it'd be fine, but like it wouldn't be the same.
Right.
There's also like, have you watched that Running Down a Dream, that documentary?
Yes.
Yeah,
That
it's
one's
so good.
amazing.
Yeah. But there's that story where he's talking about singing it with Stevie, and he's like, well, no, he's like, this is your part. And she's like, no, I'm doing that part. And he's like, all right then. Like, and so he's actually doing the high harmony when they harmonize. Like, he's coming in up top and she's down low. But like, it's funny because it's like a duet, but like the only line he sings on that is, you know, like, what's the, I know you really want to be your own girl. He just gets like one line and the rest of it is like, but yeah, like I love their dynamic. And there's that line in the documentary where he's like, you know, she always wanted to be in the Heartbreakers, and I had to tell her, Stevie, there's no girls in the Heartbreakers. It's like, why not? It's Stevie Nicks, man.
Yeah. And then with being with somebody in a relationship with an artist, that must be weird. I mean, you know, just being having relationships with people in a band is already bad enough.
Yeah, for sure.
You've experienced that
as we all know.
Right? Yeah. Were you married actually at one point? Or?
No.
No, you guys were just together?
Just living together for a long time.
So, I don't. Did you want to talk about The Waiting Girl at all? As far as like, there was a earlier band that you were in that actually is where I met you from?
Yeah, I mean, we were a kind of indie folk pop band in Roanoke, Virginia from like 03 to 09. We toured a lot and met a lot of people along the way. We had a pretty good run. It was a fun band to be a part of. But you know, it ran its course.
Yeah. And would you say that some of that had to do with you being in a relationship with Sarah?
Yeah, like, I mean, we actually did like the last few shows after we had broken up, which was kind of weird.
Yeah, I know what that's like too.
Yeah. But it was like once that happened, you know, that was kind of the end of that. But I mean, I think the band had run its own course anyway, and like we like never really, like, if you listen to like the 4 releases we had, they're all like significantly different. It was like a band that like never really found its sound, you know?
Yeah.
Like, we were kind of slaves to our influences. Like, whatever we were listening to at the time, the record kind of sounded like that, you know?
Right.
But I mean, it was the band that like taught me how to tour, that like taught me how to be in a band.
Yeah.
You know, taught me like the little things, like how to sound check without being an asshole, you know? Like,
just the tour etiquette.
Yeah, like, and there really is like an etiquette about that like, you know, like, I went on that West Coast tour, like a couple of friends of mine were with me for a few of the shows, and they're great musicians and I love playing with them, but they had never been on tour, and like, it's like, it would be like a thing where it's like, you don't make noise while somebody else is sound checking. You know, just like little things that like
kind of like being in the rehearsal room, like how everyone's just like kind of jamming along.
Yeah.
But this time it's like, no, dude, you're not supposed to do that. We need to get levels.
Yeah. It's kick drum only right now, you know. So it's just like those little things, and like just how to survive on the road, you know, like
bologna and cheese.
Yeah, for sure.
Like
packing a cooler, like, you know, like all the little tricks, all the little things, like we learned in that band, and we learned on the fly, you know. Like, I remember we booked our first tour, we had no idea what we were doing. We didn't know how long drives were. We were like, yeah, we can play a show in Massachusetts after a show in Ohio. That's fine. You know, like, it's like, what? No, we got to drive all night. Shit.
Yeah.
Back in the day when we had an atlas to tour, you know, like before, like with a highlighter, you highlight the route. You print out MapQuest maybe.
Exactly, MapQuest. That's what we used. And so I also forgot to mention or ask you about what's your experience with vinyl like? I mean, obviously you think it's important. Obviously you're an advocate for it. You pressed your new record yourself on vinyl.
Yeah, I have a pretty decent collection as well. You know, I'm a big fan. There's something about like, I love like having to listen to the whole thing. You know, like, you know, like, I want to hear Even the Losers, but I gotta listen to, you know, Refugee and Here Comes My Girl first, you know? I mean, you can drop the needle farther along, but, like, it's just not the same, you know? because like, you know, as an artist, like you put a lot of thought into the ordering of the songs, you know. And I think that that's something that's really lost, because it is like a singles era again, which is funny because that like it's kind of full circle back to like the early days of rock and roll, you know, like
Yeah.
like Spotify is essentially like 45s for a new generation. So maybe it'll come back around again. But I love like just spending time with a whole album, just hearing it as one thing, as one work of art.
Yeah. Huh.
But have you ever heard the B-sides?
No. Yeah. Where do you find the B-sides?
Well, they recently released a deluxe edition that has like all the B-sides, and there's some real like Florida swampy stuff on there. They have a song called Casadega, which do you know about the Casadega?
No.
It's like this little town in Central Florida it's said to be the psychic capital of the world.
Okay.
And there's like an old hotel there. It was built in like the 1920s, and like these psychics and mystics live in the hotel, and you can like go to the front desk and like book an appointment and like, you know, get your palm read or talk to a medium. When we lived in Florida, we went down there. It was awesome. It was
Okay.
wild, man.
Yeah.
But like they have a like the B-side to I think it's to, hold on, here comes the best part. This is my favorite part of the whole record right here. All right. It's just the normal noises in here.
You know, I don't think I've ever heard that until like this copy that I got, because
Yeah.
I've had a couple of these.
Well, it's not on the single version of Even the Losers. That just kicks right in.
Right. But I mean, when you're listening to the record, because
Yeah.
I've had copies of this record. I heard a
Okay.
first pressing and another. I guess it was another first pressing too, but it wasn't as in good condition. But so you know, I've had to listen to this record
Yeah.
already a few times just this year alone,
Right.
and I don't think I realized that part until this time.
Yeah, it's cool.
Yeah.
That's what you should title this episode. It's just the normal noises.
Well, that's one of those things that you get when you listen to a record.
Yeah.
You know, because you hear it on the radio. You're not going to hear that.
Yeah, and this was like a huge single that, you know, we've all heard a million times.
Oh, yeah.
But like you don't hear like that weird noisy intro.
Right.
This is my favorite song on the record.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Like, just going back to talking about him like as a songwriter and how like you can, like our whole thing we were saying about like you mean something, you can get something else. Like even the losers get lucky sometimes,
Mhm.
right? That's a great line. That's a good hook.
Yeah.
But like the pre-chorus, it couldn't have been that easy to forget about me. So the character in this song, like the even the losers get lucky is actually like pleading. You know, like
Yeah.
this person has forgotten about him, and he's like, you can't forget about me. Even the losers get lucky sometimes. I need some luck. It's actually like it's like a begging, pleading song, but it's so anthemic
Yeah.
that like, you know, like when something good happens in my life, like I'm like, man, even the losers get lucky sometimes. Like, so like you can take it in like this very positive way, but when you actually like dig into the lyrics and the like, baby, it couldn't have been that easy to forget about me. Come on, even the losers get lucky sometimes. And like it's just so, and it's just such a great groove. Ben Mont kills it on the keys. He kills this whole record. He's my favorite heartbreaker. I think he's the heart and soul of the band.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, because everyone speaks so highly of Mike Campbell too, because of his just ability, like his ability to arrange like, these songs. Because I guess he does a lot of that. Did a lot of co-writing.
Yeah, I mean, he wrote for a lot of other people too. He wrote "Boys of Summer" for Don Henley.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Which, like, when you think about "Boys of Summer," imagine Tom Petty singing it. It'd be a perfect Petty song, you know.
I guess so. Yeah.
But like Petty didn't want it, so he gave it to Don Henley.
That's so weird. That's another weird fucking thing about this guy.
Yeah.
Like, so efficient, so fluent
Yeah.
in songwriting, that he just gave shit away. Like he on this record, what's the song? Don't Do Me Like That.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I heard he wanted to give that to Jay Giles' band.
Yeah.
Which
Well,
makes sense, because you listen to that song and I'm just like, oh,
it sounds like a Jay Giles
Giles
band
could
song. It
definitely
does,
do this
yeah.
song.
Well, he wrote it when he was like 17.
Oh yeah?
Yeah, like there's footage of him playing it in Mudcrutch, like in
Oh, okay.
Do you remember Common Grounds in Gainesville when we played the fest? You guys might have been there.
Yeah, I guess so.
Like that used to be called something else, and like Mudcrutch used to play there, like
Oh.
in the early '70s and shit. And like there's like footage of them like of him like being like a young guy playing
Right.
version of "Don't Do Me Like That."
Oh, okay.
Like, and I just don't think he ever really liked the song because he didn't put it on the first few
Two
records,
right.
and then he wanted to give it away to Jay Giles.
Yeah.
And it's kind of like, and that's like the other persona of Petty when he, because like, you know, he can do like this really like layered, nuanced songwriting where he like inhabits a character and it becomes this thing, but then he can also just write like a pure fucking pop song, man.
Mm-hmm.
Like "Don't Do Me Like That" is like, it's a goofy tune when you like break it down, you know.
Yeah.
baby, 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 don't do me like that. It's just like it's kind of like, but like the band is so good,
Yeah.
and like that when Benmont comes in with that, like, well, when we get there, we'll talk more about it because I love this song. How was this song not a giant hit? Like, just because there was too many already on the record, I guess.
Yeah, I don't know. You know, I mean, it's just one of those things. It's like, but you know, it kind of leaves you something to, like, for when you do get that record.
Yeah.
You know, you heard the hit song, right?
Yeah.
You go buy the record. Now you have something to kind of like, you know, hear, something
Right.
to learn about. So maybe that's a tactic. I'm not sure.
Yeah.
I mean, you only just mentioned that to me now, and I've never thought about it before. But
Yeah.
yeah, realistically, from the time frame '79, when people were buying records
Yeah.
as opposed to buying singles, for the most part, I mean,
Yeah.
at least it leaves you something. Leaves you, because you know, it's like, what's the point of putting out a record if you just release every song individually?
Right. Yeah.
So,
Yeah, that's true.
So let me ask you a little bit about your tour. How many dates are you doing for this tour?
I kind of split it up. I did like a week in the Midwest, and then I took a little time off to like just hang out with some family and friends. Because I hadn't been home in a while. I'm originally from Cincinnati. And then I started on Friday. I picked it back up in Rochester, and then last night did Warren, tonight Providence, and then doing like New York, Philly, Baltimore, DC, Richmond, and Roanoke. So like when all's said and done, it's like, I think it was like 17 or 18 shows total, but there was like a
Little gap.
a little gap in the middle.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's cool. It's fun doing like all these cities on the East Coast where I haven't played, where I used to play all the time, and I haven't played in like 5 or 6 years. So that's it's interesting. It's fun to come back. I'm gonna be driving on 95 a lot, which I'm not looking forward to. Do not miss 95.
Yeah. So when the tour is ending in Roanoke, and so then what? You're gonna fly back home, or you're gonna drive it all the way back?
Actually, I'm gonna go back to Cincy, and I have a studio booked for the weekend of June 28th. And I'm gonna cut some new songs because I already have the next record written.
Oh wow.
Yeah, and we've only got 3 days booked, and I'm bringing in some ringers. Really great local band in Cincinnati called Frontier Folk Nebraska. They're my favorite band in town. Just great, like rock and roll, good stuff. Great guitar players, good harmonies. And those guys are going to come and sit in and play with me a little bit. There's another band in Cincinnati called the Perfect Children. They're just out of this world good, and a couple of them are going to come in and sing a few songs. My buddy Jake Sappenfield is going to drive down from Indianapolis and track the drums. So, like, it's kind of weird being a solo artist because, like, you know, like, I don't like being a solo artist. I like having a band, man.
Yeah.
like when a show's going bad on stage and you have like, and I can like look at you and be like, this fucking sucks. Then me and you can have a good time. We can make a joke out of it, you know. We can.
Right.
But when you're by yourself, you're like,
Yeah.
oh, I am adrift in a sea of loneliness. This is no good.
Right. Do you have any labels in mind that you want to kind of reach out to?
Man, I'm so out of that world. Like, taking a break from the scene for like 5 years. Like, I feel like all the labels I had friends at have like given up at this point, you know.
Yeah.
Or they've gotten too big.
Yeah.
Like they've either gone under, or they're like, we don't have time for you.
Yeah.
It's one or the other. So like, I don't know. I have to figure that out. But like I you know, I'd like to have some label support. I feel like that's the thing. You know, like I feel like I'm playing good shows right now. Like every show I play, like the people who run the joint dig it, which is always the best compliment. You know, when the sound guy like when the sound guy buys your record, that's when you know you had a good show, because he's got to hear every band that comes through. You know, and,
Right.
And that's been happening a lot, which I appreciate.
That's great.
So like I feel like the shows are going good. I feel like, you know, I've been on the road a lot this year. Like even when I'm not on tour, I'm playing like around in Southern California. That's one of the cool things about being in Southern California. You know, you can just do LA, you can do San Diego, you can bounce over to Phoenix in a few hours. So like, you know, I've been, you know, and labels look for that. They want you playing gigs, and I've been doing that a lot. But like, I feel like I just need I need some kind of help promoting it. You know what I mean? Like, that's the bad thing about being a solo artist. It's like, you know, like I can post on Facebook about it, but I don't have like a bass player and a drummer to also post on Facebook about it and get their families to listen to it.
Yeah. Sometimes someone in the band takes on an initiative, you know, like they take on a role in the band, you know.
Yeah.
I think like Anthony was always like the booking agent.
Yeah.
And then Toomey was always the publicist. He was the one that would make flyers and put those up and like stuff like that. I was pretty much along for the ride. Right. Yeah.
That's the good gig.
Yeah. Well, you know.
Yeah, but that's the problem with being the solo guy. I got to do it all, man.
Yeah.
And
I can imagine that's difficult.
Yeah, like back in the day, like Sarah did all the booking, Josh made all the flyers. Like, you know, I did a lot of the other like businessy type stuff, but now it's like
something like that.
Yeah, now it's like it does get a little exhausting. But you know, now that I'm sober, I have so much damn energy all the time. I need tasks, I need jobs. So like, it's actually a really good time for me to do it, because I remember like before I dropped out for a while, like I was just so tapped out. Like, you know, like I wasn't sending advanced flyers. You know, like I wasn't like I was just like, this is fucking exhausting. It's not like it's hard to put flyers in the mail.
Yeah, it's just one of those things. It becomes tedious. Like when you have so many things to do, you know, you got to make these phone calls, you got to arrange something for this, you got to figure out how you're getting there, and
like some place needs you to sign a contract, but you're like on the road, you don't have a printer, you know, like it'll just be like something weird like that. But yeah, I don't know. Like I actually do enjoy doing it now though. But for the next record, I would like to find somebody else to put it out, just so that it's not all on me. Yeah.
Well, I think it'll help you for sure, because you obviously have the ability, you have the drive, you're determined to release the stuff anyway.
Yeah.
You're going to do shows, you want to do shows.
Yeah, I'm going to be playing them no matter what. Like, even if I'm just playing them in the local bars in Idlewild, California, I'm going to be doing it. Because I don't really know how to do anything else that gives me any sort of joy in my life. So yeah, I got to do it. Like, even like writing, like, it's not so much that I love writing, it's that I love having written, you know, like, like once something's good and I read back, I'm like, that's where it's at. Yeah. But good Lord, it was pulling teeth to get there, you know?
Hey, can I trouble you for that? Oh. Or one of those, at least?
Yeah. Bad influence on you.
Yeah, man. I used to smoke, and it's one of those things that sometimes I'm like, I'll try it just... Because I know this will be it. It'll make me feel horrible, and I'll...
Right, yeah. Well, I'm on number 5, so if you have one for every 5 that I have, then...
No, but just once. Just this once, you know.
Don't let your wife watch this video.
Sorry, Jess. She used to smoke, too, you know. That's, you know, that was one of the things we shared when we first got together.
Yeah. Isn't that wild, like, how you, like when we were talking in there, like, you know, like, you guys met, like, in the bar scene and stuff, and it's like... Now look at your life, right?
It's very different.
Yeah.
It's cool, though. You know, that leads me to thinking about something, so I'll go ahead and ask you about it. How do you feel like tragedy affects your songwriting, or like what does it do to you, like, musically? Or do you look for it, or do you...
I feel like...
Or do you just draw off of it because, you know, it comes up every now and then?
Well, it's a weird thing, you know, like that, does art imitate life or does life imitate art kind of thing, where, like, you know, like, I feel like in the past when I was, like, at my worst, like, with, like, drugs and alcohol and stuff, like, I feel like it's very easy to make an excuse for being an asshole in the name of art.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And that's not okay. You know, like, like, it's not okay to, like, be unkind to people so that you can write a song about being unkind to people. This song's so fucking weird. That little intro is so cool. Yeah.
The backwards tape.
Mm-hmm. Oh, God, this is good. Ben Mott, I love him. Love you, Ben Mott. I hope you watch this since we're buddies on Twitter.
There you go, yeah. Send him a shout out.
Yeah, I will. He's such a, like, I'll tell you this. This is, and this kind of goes along with because when I started playing shows again sober, it was very hard. Like, I had, it wasn't hard to be in bars. I was a bartender for 15 years. I'm used to being in a bar and working.
Yeah.
Like that's not hard for me. But like just playing a gig was hard. Like being completely aware of the room. Like I was like shaky. Like my voice would like I couldn't sing. It was like it took me a while. I'll tell you the story of my first show because it's a pretty good one. So I got out of rehab. And I left Florida and I went back home to Cincinnati. And the bar I used to work at called the Southgate House, the owner there, Morella, she's a good friend, and she was like, you're back in town, would you like to play some gigs? And I was like, sure, I'd love to. I want to get back into it. It had been like 6 months since I played a show, and I hadn't gone 6 months without playing a show since I was like 17 years old, probably,
Yeah.
And she was like, okay, well, this guy named Kevin Devine is coming to town. You want to open for him? And I had never heard of him. And it was a Sunday night. And I was like, oh, an opening gig for a guy I've never heard of on a Sunday night? That's perfect. I'll ease back into the scene.
Yeah.
Kevin Devine's a big deal. I had no idea.
Yeah, that name sounds familiar.
He's like, plays with like Manchester Orchestra and like kind of like that, like kind of post-punk emo scene from like New York.
Okay.
And he sold out the room. There's like 200 people there, right? And I had no idea. And
oh, that's all right. It's just a monitor thing.
Cool.
Go ahead with your story.
So like I show up and there's like a sold out room, and it was on the 4-month anniversary of my sobriety. And I had tweeted about it earlier in the day, like this is gonna be my first solo show, and I like tagged Kevin Devine in it. And I walk into the green room, and Kevin Devine like comes up to me and he's like, "Hey man, I saw that tweet you put out." He's like, "I just want you to know that it's meant to be that you're doing this show tonight." He's like, "I'm 10 years sober."
Oh, wow.
He's like, "And I just want you to know that you can do this." And like when I played my set, I was like freaking out. I was just like shaking. I couldn't remember the songs. And he stood at the side of the stage, and like just I would look over and he would just be like, You got it. And I like got off the stage and he like gave me a big hug, and like he had like 50 people in his merch line when I was packing up, and he like was like, "Hold on," and like ran over and like he was like gave me his phone number. He's like, "You need anything, you hit me up." And I was just like, this is awesome.
Yeah.
And then in a similar vein, like before I did that first tour, I had like tweeted about like the idea of touring sober, and Benmont replied to my tweet, and he was like, one of my rock and roll heroes is like, because I had tagged Benmont in it because he's famously sober.
Yeah.
And he like wrote me back and was like, like there's meetings in every town. He's like, you can do it. He's like, I've been doing it for years, and if I can do it, anybody can do it. And like it was just like such a like he's like one of my all-time heroes, and like just like having that, I was like, oh, I can do it.
That's cool.
So like, I mean, to get back to your original question, like I've been writing more songs since I've been trying to be a better person, and I don't really write about tragedy that much anymore. Like I've never written anything about like my father dying. I've never, like I wrote a lot of songs about the process of going down and getting clean and all of that. But I tried to do the petty thing of like making them accessible to people, like like
not too preachy.
Right? Yeah.
Yeah.
And there's a couple songs on there that are like, that are very obviously about it. But like in general, I wanted to make it. And that's what I've been trying to do with my songs. Like, like I feel like a lot of times I wrote too personally. And sometimes I just want to write a good rock and roll song, like just give me a good hook, give me a good melody, give me a good energy. And that's been like a fun challenge, is to like make it mean something, but like, it doesn't have to be my diary,
Yeah.
And I'm trying to do that like when I write fiction now too, like because I've been a slave to my own narrative for too damn long.
Right.
I'd like to get away from that a little bit. Because like at a certain point, like with that book I wrote, like it's fiction, but it's basically my life, and I'm like, I was looking back over it this weekend, and I'm like, this character doesn't need to live in 7 different cities in this book just because I did that. Like,
Right.
this is just confusing to the reader at a certain point, right? Like, just make him live in 2 places so that we get a change of scene, like. And I think, like, songwriting is kind of like that, too. Like, when I listen to some of my old songs, I'm like, I'm just putting too much shit in there. Like, let the song breathe, man. Like, that's, like, the theme of all of this. Like let the song, like, breathe and take on a life of its own. And I think, like, the new songs I have that we're going to be, like, demoing do a good job of that. That's a good song, Tom.
Rest in peace, Tom.
Oh, man, that fucked me up, man.
What? The song?
No, when he died.
Oh, yeah.
I had more people call me and text me the day Tom Petty died than I did when my father died.
Yeah. Wow.
Which, like, I love my father. We were very close, but, like, all my friends, like, knew me as, like, the Tom Petty guy. They were like, "Are
Right.
you okay?" And I'm like, "No, I am not."
Uh,
That was actually, like, because he died, like October 12th or something, like sometime in mid-October. And I went into rehab, like, November 4th. So it was like, my bottom really coincides with Tom Petty dying.
Yeah.
They're not connected, but they are. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
Like, I was gonna bottom out anyway, but, like,
Right.
it's just kind of weird that's when that happened.
wow. Wow, so that was kind of a little extra tough for you.
Yeah, like, well, I was actually trying to get sober. I was trying to get sober for a long time. But, like, I had to go to rehab. I had to do the inpatient thing. Like, I had to reprogram my brain. I had to learn new routines. And I was, like, going to meetings and stuff in Gainesville. And I remember the day he died, I don't think it was the same day, but it was the same weekend. He died on a Monday.
Mm-hmm.
And that weekend was the Las Vegas shooting.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember, like, it was that Monday morning that I decided I was going to get sober. And I went to a meeting and I got my little 24-hour chip. And, like, it was, like, the shooting and Tom Petty died, and I didn't drink. And I was like, I can do it. If, like, my number one rock and roll hero died and, like, America is, shooting itself to death, like, and I can not drink, I can do it. And, like, I made it, like, I was so proud of myself for making it through that day. And then, like, 2 days later, it was gone again, But, like, it was just this weird thing. Like, I was trying to get sober around that time, and then, it kind of all went downhill, and I realized I needed some serious help.
Yeah, that's a pretty tough trial.
Yeah. Yeah, it was a rough time, but things are good now.
That's good. I'm glad to hear it. And I'm glad to see that, you're back on the road and back to, putting out records and that you're doing well, man.
Yeah, it's fun. I missed it. I think I, just went about it the wrong way for a lot of those final years. I kind of lost the joy of it. That road will beat you down. And, it's still, like, there's moments, like, you load in, and you check in with the bartender, and they're like, "Here's your 5 drink tickets." And you're like,
Those good for sodas?
yeah, right. No, I have a new trick I do where somebody's like, "Hey, man, that was a great set." And I'm like, "Oh, thank you. Can I buy you a drink?"
Oh.
And they're like, "Oh, cool." And then they end up, like, buying a record because I'm nice.
Nice.
And but really, I didn't buy it. I just used my drink tickets. So
Yeah.
it's my new little hustle that I do. Don't tell anybody.
That's good, though. Because, hey, you know what? it's good to use it.
Yeah.
The club gives it to you. It's part of one
Yeah.
of the perks of playing.
Yeah, it's part of my payment. I got to do something with it.
Yeah. So if it works to your benefit and someone buys a record off of it, then even better.
Right.
Yeah.
And on that West Coast tour I did, my buddy Brett was with me, and it was me and my buddy Brett and my friend Amanda. And Amanda is sober now too. And so we were getting, like, 12 drink tickets as a band or something, and we're like, "Here you go, Brett." Poor Brett.
Yeah, spread it around, man.
Yeah.
Bring it home good. Cool, man. Well, so the tour is actually coming close to an end.
Yeah, I got a week left. A week from today, actually. Yeah.
Ah, shit. All right. Well,
Yeah.
because by the time this comes out, you'll probably only have a couple dates left.
Okay.
But I'll just tell everyone now to check out your website.
Yeah.
Right.
Just WilliamRussellWallace.com. And the new record's on all the streaming, Apple Music, Spotify, Amazon Music, anything you use. And I'll have more shows coming up. If you're on the West Coast in LA, I play in LA once a month at the Escondite. I play all over Southern California, and I'm gonna do another West Coast tour in September. So those dates will be coming in soon. But yeah, I'm gonna stay on the road just because I'm lucky enough to have that gig in California where I get to live pretty cheaply. So I have the opportunity to tour, so I'm gonna take it while I do.
Yeah, that's great, man.
Yeah, and hopefully, like, it's just tricky to get back out to the East now, but like, that is where all my touring contacts still are. So it's like a weird thing. Because like I'm like, well, when I do the East Coast, I'm like, well, I don't want to play like New England in the winter. That sounds bad.
Yeah. Well, we have these prolonged seasons now, so
yeah, that's right. I can play like November; it'll still be warm.
Hopefully, yeah.
Global warming.
It's gotta be good for something.
Yeah.
So, you feel good, man?
I feel good. Yeah.
All right. Well,
this was awesome. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely, man. I'm glad that we could make it work and make it happen.
Yeah.
Luckily, you came on tour and you could stop in.
Yeah.
Let's see. You're going to be at the Parlor tonight, and I'm going to come down and see you guys.
Cool. Yeah.
Let's come down and see all my friends I haven't seen in a long time.
Yeah. You should just get up and play some bass.
I don't think so. I mean,
I got up on American Folk Rock School last night.
Doing what?
I challenged Tony to a harmonica duel.
Oh, sweet.
Yeah.
I haven't seen you guys do that.
I kicked his ass.
Remember we did that show at that college in Ohio?
Oh, yeah.
We were doing. You guys started doing like Neutral Milk Hotel covers.
Yeah.
And I didn't know it because I didn't know Neutral Milk Hotel at the time, and I actually walked out. I didn't take part in your jam session because I was just like, because Toomey knows it. Toomey's fit, is doing it fine. And you and Anthony kind of went at it, and you guys did the dueling harmonicas. Yeah. But I didn't know the song, so I just sat out.
God, I totally forgot about that. That was what, Athens, Ohio, I think?
I don't know. Was it?
Yeah.
That was a bad night for me.
Yeah.
I mean, not bad. It was good and it was fun, but
we had two shows that night. We had the one at the school, and then we had the one at the Union, that like dive bar.
Man, yeah. I was wasted because I don't even remember.
That was the night when I was really drunk, and every time Tony got a beer, I would do the thing where I'd hit the top of his bottle and make it overflow. And he got so mad at me because I just kept doing it because I was an asshole. And I knew how much it bugged him, and so every time he got one, I just
kept renewing it.
Yeah, it's bad.
That's the night we went streaking.
Sounds about right. Yeah. Oh, you know what? That was in Springfield.
Oh.
Yeah.
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 Why were we on that tour? Like, what? You were with us by yourself.
Yeah.
You were doing your solo tour.
I don't know.
And you were like opening for us.
Probably.
Yeah.
They all blur together at this point.
Yeah, man. It was kind of bad news.
But yeah, if we went streaking, then we were probably at my alma mater, Wittenberg University, in Springfield, Ohio. It sounds like what we would do there. Good times.
Yeah. Cool, man.
It's a miracle we're all alive and don't have criminal records, or too bad of criminal records anyway.
Yeah. Well, hey, man, that's all right. That the universe is doing what it's supposed to be doing, I guess. So.
Yeah, and I am grateful for those days, man.
Me too.
Yeah,
absolutely. Billy, great having you, man.
Yeah, man. Love you, buddy. It's good to see you.
I'll see you again tonight.
Yeah, looking forward to it.
How the hell can I confess? I see you barely in that dress with your hair piled holy high, divine. I see no shadows. I feel no